Passing through the sleepy country of Laos, we stop by Luang Prabang, Vang Vieng and Vientiane before journeying to the southern villages and the 4,000 islands.
Travelling laid back in Laos, we take the slow boat down the Mekong with other travellers, where Julian spots a reason to go swimming. I explore Laos' gentle spirituality.
And I investigate Laos' brutal secret war history.
I know what the Americans did. They dropped more bombs on Laos during the Vietnam War than all the bombs on both sides that were dropped in the Second World War.
It was just a massive bombing directed against an utterly defenseless peasant society.
In rural Laos, we find the friendliest and most welcoming people.
English, lovely friendship.
Who provide us with a never-ending supply of local hospitality.
Oh. I've eaten 7 eggs today. And I think if I ate another egg, I'll vomit. Yeah, he can open.
We enter Laos crossing from Thailand to the border town of Hue Sai. The borders of Thailand, Myanmar and Laos form the notorious Golden Triangle, the hub that once transported massive cash crops of opium and heroin to the world. Today, newer designer drugs like methamphetamine have caused a sharp decline in opium production, and nowadays, tourists seem to be the main freight hauled across these borders. Carrying our heavy cargo of unwashed clothes to the border, we were introduced to the local currency.
I'd like to change, please, 200 US. 2,107,000.
You're a millionaire.
My address at home, eh?
Yeah.
What village is my home village, Julian?
For every $1 we were rewarded with 7,000 kip. The exchange rate here creates bricks of pocket change, and there are no coins in circulation.
Right, let's go spend some.
Hue Sai benefits primarily from the abundance of travellers entering Laos from Thailand before moving on as soon as they have rested. We checked into the BAP guest house and ordered breakfast.
You can make me spicy green papaya salad?
Oh, yeah.
Very spicy, please.
Okay.
Can I have the cheese salad sandwich on baguette?
Oh, no
But-
more cheese.
Oh.
Fried rice is better.
Lao cuisine is similar to Thai.
Green papaya, right?
Green pepper.
Tom Som is a spicy green papaya salad, mixing shredded papaya with garlic, tomatoes, peanuts, beans, and of course, chili.
Goodness, very spicy.
It's the big one too.
Oh, very spicy. Put 8 chilies in there, including one massive one.
Soy sauce?
Yes, please.
Soya sauce, huh?
Yes, please.
Okay. Oh, give a lot.
It's usually eaten in the morning, is it? Or
No.
No.
In evening. Only you.
Only me eats in the morning.
First time I cook.
Very good, thank you.
Sweating yet?
It gets spicier as you go along.
Yeah, it does. It builds up. Do you want food that is unbearably hot so you can't eat it?
Maybe once or twice a month.
Rested and with fire in my belly, I was looking forward to travelling Laos' main highway, the Mekong River, heading to Luang Prabang, where we took the slow boat with almost every other traveller in town.
Our 2-day boat ride was aimed downriver to our rest stop for the night, the tiny village of Phak Bang. The mighty Mekong runs from Tibet through China, Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, and is the border that separates Laos from Thailand.
The slow passage allowed plenty of time to get to know other travellers and the numerous locals hopping on and off along the way.
But after a while, the cramped conditions and competing with our companions for the only toilet seemed to agitate everyone, and after 7 hours we happily disembarked from our wooden benches for the night.
Local kids ran aboard, hijacking the nearest bag, which was often bigger than themselves, and scrambled up the hill, waiting for its owner.
These skilled touts in training relied on the fresh-off-the-boat tourists' naivety for the rules of extortion to begin. But one small boy had picked the wrong bag.
It's ridiculous.
10,000 in my bed.
No, it's ridiculous.
Five.
No, one.
What is a cape not?
Julian, do you have a 500 or anything small? Because I don't have anything small left.
How much are you giving?
I'm not giving him anything yet, but I'm going to have to give him a 5,000 because that's all I have.
For free. Thanks ever so much.
Leaving Julian to fend off more pint-sized prospectors with our bags, I went looking for accommodation.
But where is your guest house?
It's my place, this one. Right buy one here, you have the shop.
What about shower?
Bathroom inside here.
The shower's a tap, but if you don't mind, do that.
At $1.20 US for a basic room, Hat Bing is only just beginning to capitalise on the recent tourist explosion, conveniently catching tourists for the night. Homes are turning into makeshift guest houses, and electricity is now turned on between 6 and 9 p.m.
Early the following morning, we were back on the slow boat for our second day down the mighty Mekong. After the prayers for a safe passage, the boat was full and Pat Beng was empty.
We were headed toward Laos' World Heritage City, Luang Prabang.
Seven more hours of relaxing and 7 more hours of a sore ass.
The people of landlocked Laos call Mekong the Sea of Laos. It is vital for their survival, being a major source of food and irrigation for the rice fields. As well as being the Laotian people's main artery for transportation through nearly 2,000 kilometres of their country. Arriving around midday in Luang Prabang, we'd heard about the comfortable Jalaya guest house. Resident Toucan Jimmy wouldn't let Julian finish his baguette, trying to frighten him into surrendering it.
He wants the key.
He's definitely trying to eat my sandwich.
Leaving Jimmy to sulk in the corner, we spent the day visiting the scores of temples and pagodas in this former royal capital of Laos. It operates in slow-mo and is steeped in French colonial charm. As well as their buildings, the French had left behind their baguettes and bicycles. Monks who stroll down the streets with their parasols create an impression that Luang Prabang is only now beginning to move forward. In the Delut market, I looked to traditional medicine to settle my dodgy stomach.
Gonorrhea.
Perfect.
Cockcombs disease. I don't have Coxcombs disease, no, sorry. Wood shavings, like all the rest of them.
Oh, you put it in water like a tea, eh?
No, this one is.
Yeah? Oh, good. Strong.
Oh, let's get some nutritious herbal.
Yeah,
man.
let's get one, eh? Okay, we buy one. We work very hard and we're very weak. We need some nutritious herbal. You sure you don't want to get anything for Coxcomb disease?
No, I think I'll let my Coxcomb disease go, Camilla.
I decided to skip lunch and spend the money on a t-shirt.
Okay. Look. What do you have for me? Beautiful shirts, eh? The Lao words, eh?
Oh, very nice.
Very nice. Oh, you think I look nice in this, eh?
It was like shopping with my mother as a child. She chose it for me, and then she told me to buy it.
Yeah, 2 t-shirts, yeah. Very good to wear too, eh? In a hot temperature like this. Yeah.
Okay, apa tu?
Yes, please. Yes, this one. Cup chai, cup chai. This is something to do. Still 190 steps to go. You've only done 138.
Mount Pusi is the highest point in Luang Prabang, and a pathway snakes its way 328 steps to the temple at the top.
I see at least 40 degrees. And I'm walking up a mountain. Actually, it's only a small hill, but I like to consider it a mountain.
My recent diet of beer lao and spicy tum sum didn't agree with the rigours of exercise.
It'll pay me for going out drinking last night.
The wondrous views helped. Luang Prabang has kept its ancient charm a secret from the world for so long because it's surrounded by dense forest and high mountains. Amazing views, ancient temples, and being hung over in the heat had all gone to my head.
About 5 kilometres out of town is Wat Pon Pao, also known as the Peacefulness Temple. It is the lesser known of all the Wats in Luang Prabang, but its serene and private surroundings easily made it my favourite. The odd octagonal construction is a forest meditation temple and is decorated with interesting murals depicting Buddhist tales.
You're a good driver, eh?
Advertising himself as a good driver was a smart move for this man. Laos drivers don't have the best reputation, but we trusted him and his sign to take us safely 30 kilometres south to the magnificent Quang Si waterfalls. I don't really like swimming trips, but it was all the girls in our guest house could talk about doing, so I pretended to like it as well.
On the trail to the falls is a large compound containing a tiger called
Tells you
Pet.
that you've got to donate to help Tiger Pet survive. We've made a contract with the butcher to bring Pet a special quantity of fresh meat on a daily basis, and she needs to have a regular quantity of meats per day. So they don't have a regular budget to feed her, so please donate. Oh, yum, yum.
Pet was rescued as a cub just hours from being handed over to Chinese medicine traders.
Well, that's the first time I've ever touched a tiger, and it's definitely going to be the last.
She has become a symbol to protect wildlife in Laos, the land of 1 million elephants, where only 400 now remain. On our way up to the falls, I questioned why Julian, who hates swimming, was in such a hurry.
So what is your motive for actually deciding to swim today?
Come on, I always swim.
Where?
I've
Where
swum
there's girls
maybe
in
once.
bikinis.
Yeah, where there's girls in bikinis. I
Enough
might have to
to
stay in the
attract
water
you.
and be like, no, I can't come out yet. I can't come out.
The Quang Si Falls is the destination for most travellers who have relaxed enough in Luang Prabang and need a little action. It was time for me to make an impression.
Julian had warned me not to cramp his style in case the girls thought we were a couple. So I flirted with him from across the pool. Apparently my joke had gone a bit too far, and the ride back was a little uncomfortable.
We'd all planned to meet up later and check out the nightlife. I wasn't sure if it existed in lazy Luang Prabang, but I was impressed to find the Hive Bar, where travellers exchange stories on Laos and hopefully exchange emails.
Bored with Julian's attempts and bored with talk of travel, I returned to find myself breaking curfew.
The hotel's curfew is 10:30 and the government's curfew is midnight. Is it midnight?
The doorman wasn't happy, so I didn't mention that Julian was about an hour away from waking him again. We arrived almost an hour early to catch our bus to Vang Vieng, only to find it had already left. The bus is 3 o'clock. It's gone.
Yeah.
But it's 2:30. When is the next one? Only 6 o'clock.
Yes. If the bus full before, leave early.
We've got 4 hours to wait at this wonderful bus stop because we turned up at 2:15, thinking that might just be enough time to catch the 3 o'clock bus down to Vang Vieng. But of course, the 3 o'clock bus has left by 2:15.
After waiting for the 5 o'clock bus to arrive at 6, we eagerly scrambled on board and then sat bored until it finally left at 7:45. We were warned not to travel by night because of stories of Hmong rebels attacking buses along Route 13. But the only problem we faced was having to stay at Sisombat Guest House, one of the dirtiest dives run by the rudest people.
Okay. Arriving at 1 a.m. in the pouring rain in Vang Vieng, Laos. This is what you get. Of course it was raining, so I got leaked on. But now come to the best part of the room, because this room is flash attached bathroom with a hot shower that, well, there's no way that I'm ever going to be able to squat on this toilet. Does this look ridiculous or what? Oh, no, look, there's our friends. They've been everywhere. I could feel them all over my feet last night. Oh, hello, you little bug.
Camilla's constant complaining moved us to the more expensive Say Song Guest House. But its views of the Nam Song River made all the hassle of moving worthwhile. 7 out of 10.
Excellent scenery and cleanliness, from a 1 to an 8 out of 10.
A vegetarian trying to find breakfast in a vegetable market should have been simple. But all I was offered were rodents, grilled or ungrilled, and live frogs. So I skipped breakfast.
Traveling this way.
Vang Vieng was a sleepy town which awoke to find itself inundated with the influx of tourists, taking the detour here for caving, adventure sports, and its spectacular natural setting. It also provides visitors with an abundance of restaurants and nightlife to keep them here. I left Camilla behind to embark on my second attempt to meet a girl with a growing number of friends I'd made along the travelling trail. I'd recently read that 60% of travellers have sex within the first 2 months of travel. Falling into the 40% category, I looked to good company and beer Lao to rectify this.
I've already had 5 of these. Because it was all passing through, it's so wet. There we go. You know, they had this big argument, and finally we had to stop the argument because the rain was too hard, and we were like trying to get everything dry.
But it was just the beer Lao which stayed with me until morning.
My views of Nam Son seemed idyllic, until I realised that it was incredibly polluted with tourism. Tubing down the river seemed to be a compulsory requirement whilst visiting Vang Vieng, but when I voiced my cynicism to Julian, he had already paid for our inner tubes.
The 3-hour ride down the river was a breezy way to spend the day, although the current was a little slow.
I tried my best to enjoy it, but I was cold, surrounded by cackling travellers, and it was so slow that sometimes we needed a push. But the scenery was stunning.
did pick up a little at the end, and I'd heard from other travellers about something a little more challenging, kayaking, all the way from here to our next destination.
I'm not going to go on the kayaks to Vientiane, although that would be much more fun. I'm not really in the mood for fun, so I'm going to take the bus at 1 o'clock when hopefully I'm feeling well enough to stand up and get my stuff together.
Driving a little way out of Vang Vieng, we were to kayak for about 5 hours to the capital of Laos, Vientiane. A bit more exciting than the tubing, with the same stunning scenery. I felt sorry that Camilla had missed out. The best part of the day was the water fights with fellow kayakers. The river is a great place to meet smiling locals. And one boy was even friendly as he stole my water. Back on land, we drove another hour to Vientiane. Vientiane is really a very large village of around 200,000 people. I met up with Camilla at an expensive guest house she had chosen by the Mekong.
Julian dragged me to all the temples he could find, but he had saved the best until last. I had seen it on all the currency, but up close, the golden Tat Luang is magnificently blinding. The 150-foot stupa is surrounded by dozens of spires and is a major pilgrimage site for Buddhist monks and travel pilgrims, as it is said to contain a relic of Lord Buddha.
Couple. God, I hope they don't think we're a couple.
Yeah, coming from Bangkok, it's a much more relaxed city. Definitely less sex tourism, which is a really nice thing to get away from.
I spent 9 months as a voluntary kindergarten teacher at Sunshine School. And in contrast to my job back home, it was wonderful.
50% of the population of Laos is under 18 years old. The Sunshine School is a non-profit private school that teaches English as well as Lao.
What job do you want to do?
The school aims to awaken each child's thirst for knowledge while developing their whole personality, using some innovative techniques.
This is a special system of teaching very young children English sentences and then reading and eventually writing. So first of all, they learn some sentence, like I can jump. So the way we introduce to small kids is to give them the wooden word, tell them it says I, or it says can, it says jump. So they learn it not by reading the letters, but they learn it as an entity. So they understand this is jump, just like they learn this is a pen or this is a finger. They say this says jump. No, because young kids, they learn through sensory motor activity. So by feeling it, by seeing it, by riding it on their backs, now by making noises about it, they pick up the concept of this is jump, the whole word. So they learn to read the whole word. Next step is to introduce the sight word. So we match the wooden word to the sight word on the card. So then they start to read, they understand it's the same word and they read the sight words. So then we play games also with the sight words. Me. So this system has been very effective this year in our school, and we hope we can introduce it to more and more kids.
For the parents of these children, learning English at such a young age is seen as a huge advantage.
It's really important for their kids to learn English because more and more foreigners are coming here, maybe for their future.
Actually, the general level of education in Laos is still quite poor or backward. People do go to teachers' training college, but because they're underpaid or teaching conditions are so difficult, they don't go into the teaching profession. The more children who can go through a good education system, the more it's going to help the country in the future to develop.
The school focuses on ethically based education and multicultural teachings, like traditional Lao dance class. While still keeping in touch with more modern trends like the ketchup song. Minutes south of Vientiane is the peacefully eccentric Buddha Park. The garden represents a concrete meld of Buddhist and Hindu mythology. Construction began in the 1950s by a curious monk with a sense of the dramatic. It is the coolest collection of sculptures I've ever seen, mixing kitsch with Zen Buddhism.
Back in Vientiane is the Arc de Triomphe of Southeast Asia and my favourite construction in Laos. Patusai Arch was built in the 1960s with United States supplied concrete, originally intended for an airport runway. So it is affectionately called the Vertical Runway. It is a monument to the Lao people who died in the pre-revolutionary wars. The Revolutionary Museum displays the ancient events where Lao patriots liberated the motherland from Thai and Burmese feudalists. Since 1975, Laos has been controlled by the Lao People's Revolutionary Party, and much of the museum speaks of the struggle against Japanese fascism and American imperialism on their road to communism.
We took a bus south to Pak Se. The journey took 12 hours, and since Vang Vieng, I wasn't feeling too good, and being trapped on a bus that wouldn't stop made it the most uncomfortable ride so far.
I've been strangely sick for 4 days. Every time I eat, I end up feeling quite nauseous. So maybe I have some awful Lao disease, or maybe I have a worm. I don't know. I don't really want to go to the hospital in Laos. No offence to Laos, but everyone knows their standard of healthcare is the best. Do I look pale? Do I have big bags under my eyes? What do you think?
I think you should go to a Lao doctor.
I'm brave enough. I'm going to visit a Lao doctor. Our wonderful guest house has pointed me in the right direction to an English-speaking one, and maybe he can test me for the intestinal little parasites. Which one of these looks like a doctor's clinic to you? Doctor? You know where doctor is? Doctor? No doctor here? No doctor. Doctor here? Wait. No, I understand. He's not here today. Okay. Let's try and find another one.
The life expectancy in Laos is 54 years, and along with education, health spending in Laos is minimal, below 2%. My concoction of purple pills rid me of my intestinal friends.
Vietnam War draft dodger who came here years later of his own accord.
I try to just deal with people on a one-to-one basis. And being an American means you're a total asshole to begin with, you know. So if they ask me where I'm from, I used to say Canada, but I thought that was really boring. I thought California. So people ask me where I'm from, I say California. And sometimes they'll go, because everybody's heard of the Hotel California, right? So particularly in India, some, oh, California, yeah, they've heard of, you know. And others will go look at you and they go, America. Yeah.
What do you know about Lao history?
I know what the Americans did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did they do?
They dropped more bombs on Laos during the Vietnam War than all the bombs on both sides that were dropped in the Second World War. 7,000 pounds per person, just on Laos.
Professor Noam Chomsky explained to me clearly what the political situation was at the time.
The U.S. bombing of Laos and intrusions into Laos began in the early 1960s. By 1968 or 69, they had become extremely intensive. Well, the fact is, it had nothing to do with the war in Vietnam. This is often falsified. It was just a massive bombing directed against an utterly defenseless peasant society. The reason was partly that they just had a lot of bombers and nothing to do with them. I happened to be in Laos at a time when it was almost the journalistic hub of the universe. So journalists flew in from all over the place, hotshots from the major networks and so on and so forth. Almost none of them would take the trouble to go 30 kilometers into the countryside and interview the refugees. The journalists were all reporting the official stories about the tanks outside Vientiane. But then when they went back to the hotel bar afterwards, they were all laughing about it. They all knew it was complete fabrication. But it didn't matter, you reported it anyway. I mean, when the West carries out massacres and slaughters, we're not supposed to know about it. Nobody cares. It's not investigated. We don't know. Just as we don't know within millions, literally, how many people were killed in the Indochina wars. It's not our business. Of course, there were what they call bombies, little cluster bombs all over the place. Children would pick them up and blow up. A farmer's hoe would hit them and so on. That's still happening. The U.S. has refused to provide any assistance for removing the probably millions of bomblets that are around. I mean, they carried out huge atrocities, massive atrocities, and the least they can do is clear up the remains. I mean, the cynicism of this it's hard to find words for it.
I took a songtao to the remote region of the Sullivan Plateau. The people here still remember the recent years when American B-52 bombers rained hell all day and night over their village of Pak Song. I had been told that the local doctor was willing to take any visitor to Pak Song up into the hills to see the evidence firsthand and to ensure that the secret war was no longer a secret. On my short walk, I saw buildings which had been shelled from the air and ridden with what looked like bullet holes. Arriving at the hospital, I was anxious to find out more, and Dr. Villet was even more anxious to show me.
It's a covered bomb from America, bombs to Laos. Only the American bomb. Yeah, you can see this.
What for, you know?
I don't know.
No.
Kind of want to kill everything. Yeah. Animal and some person. Yeah. No excess. Want to kill America. Bomb drops from air. Everywhere can to see this box. Everywhere.
He stopped every few meters, finding more deadly souvenirs. Many are still unexploded. We disturbed a man cultivating the coffee plants and collecting fragments of weapons to melt down and make a machete.
From America, yeah. America works, cannon. American good.
We're not American.
No American.
You are not American.
Not American.
No.
I am American. I am American.
American big gun, but some 145 millimeters gun.
85% of the population live in rural areas affected by unexploded ordnance.
Yes, bullets. No, I afraid.
You afraid?
Yeah, afraid.
Maybe we should go.
This is wire. Whoa! Whoa! Sao cái
Walking through what was essentially a minefield, we interrupted some children working with their father, digging up unexploded bombs to sell for scrap metal.
Oh, big bomb, big bullet. Yeah, oh, em vẫn xịt. Anh
You find these?
yeah? Yeah, yes.
What do you do with them?
To buy, to sell.
To sell them? Yeah, you sell these?
No, I afraid.
The scrap metal industry has become a leading cause of unexploded weapon casualties, a risk they take to earn only 1 cent per kilogram of metal.
75 bullet. These bullets can dangerous, high.
Very dangerous.
High dangerous.
I found out that the father was an old soldier who used to shoot at the planes as they flew overhead in the 1970s. He led me back to the village as enthusiastically as we had left, and to his friend's garage, where over a dozen beer lao were bought in and shared with 1 glass. I felt an odd mix of shame and joy as I drank with them. I couldn't help but feel that as a Westerner, I was representing the very forces that killed and still continue to kill their community. But they did nothing but keep pouring beer for me. Pretty soon the celebrations had spilled onto the streets, and the mayor of Pak Song joined us on his first day on the job.
Today.
Today?
Yeah.
Today. Congratulations.
Not 2 weeks, 2 months.
2 months?
Not 2 weeks, 2 months.
One day, eh?
1 day.
We're with the mayor of Pak Song on his inauguration day. The head of Pak Song.
Pak Song.
Pak Song.
Pak Song.
Pak Song. Pak Song. Pak Song.
Lao, no problem with American people. Why American people angry Laos people? American people is good. But government, American government, no good. Morning.
Oh, cắt chai lại. Tự mình đi nuôi nưng.
More again.
More again. I've eaten 7 eggs so far. He's good at opening it. And I think if I ate another egg, I'll vomit.
Yeah, he can open some.
Hearing of my fondness for spicy food, they appeared to be hatching a plot to make me burn my mouth out.
Get bar. Get bar.
So they tried harder.
Mini. Hot?
Sẹp
This hot.
Hot? Oh, very hot.
Very hot. I eat chili very much. Very hot. No good for me health. ฮักแพงกัน
Hấp hang gang.
And in English?
เหมือนI know.
What's the name?
English?
English lovely friendship.
It took a lot of convincing for them to let me leave on the last bus back to Pak Say.
For me.
I was heading to the most significant temples in southern Laos, Wat Po in Champasak. I hired a spectacular tuk-tuk for the day for $6 that included a ferry ride. The tuk-tuk was impressively decorated by its proud owner. And the rural scenery on this journey was just my thing. It is $2 per person to come here. Can I pay in baht? As well as Lao Kip, people normally accept $US and Thai baht. But for some reason, this woman wasn't happy. 6 and 5,000 more. Lao was built by the Khmer from the 6th to 8th century, predating the larger Angkor Wat in Cambodia. An ancient city lost in the jungles for uncounted centuries, it was very private and beautiful. Up many sets of stairs, this trickle of water is considered to be one of the holiest spots in the temple. While Julian slept off his celebrations, I realised for the first time how relaxed and unhurried Lao had made me feel. We took one of the most comfortable 8-hour bus rides to the Mekong River's 4,000 islands, staying on the main one, Dong Kong, and rode off into rural Laos on bikes.
The ones at the straight bar are for boys, and these ones are for girls. That's how you tell the difference between a boy's bike and a girl's bike. So you're riding a girl's bike right now.
Oh, yes, Camilla, I'm riding a girl's bicycle.
A French girl's bicycle.
I wouldn't mind the French girl part.
I'm sure you wouldn't mind a wee French girl, but bicycle would have to do.
We bumped into 2 Dutch girls that we had trekked with in Thailand and asked how the 2 countries compared.
Thailand is a holiday country. It's perfect if you go there 3 or 4 weeks. But if you like adventure a bit more, or yeah, then I would prefer Laos, and I like adventure a bit more. So that's the difference for me.
It's more Western, I think, than Laos is. Laos is more like it was 100 years ago in Thailand, probably.
We split the cost of a boat and visited neighbouring island Don Det, one of the southernmost islands of Laos, near the Cambodian border.
So you're going to wait here? We spent the day wandering the island that has become the more laid-back island to stay on, for about $1 a night. But it was unbearably hot.
Oh, it's cold.
So, like the pig and his owners, we stayed in the shade. The French built Laos' only railway here, crossing the river, as rapids made it impossible for shipping to navigate. The rapids lead to the biggest waterfall in Southeast Asia. Our boat took us downstream towards a lookout point. But on the way, his engines suddenly died, and we drifted helplessly in the middle of the Mekong. Kon Maping Falls drops 15 metres, and we were heading slowly toward them with only 1 oar.
Well, the boat stopped again, and it seems to have run out of petrol or blown up his motor.
Do you have any more oars?
No,
We have
I think
only one.
he's the best to do it.
Oh.
We all tried. Everyone in the middle, right in the middle. We should get out. I'll get out and push.
You know, maybe you can go there and you can make that because the water is going that way.
It's quite a long way.
I don't know if you still can cross, if you can come to the other side.
So watch it.
Because he can go. But if we do it all with the sandals, help him.
My main concern was that everyone didn't panic and tip our incredibly narrow boat.
Is everyone trying to do it? But we... Oh, Palang is stuck.
Somebody. Oh, he's a man from the mobile.
Oh, look, he's brought a spare engine.
Is he? He's got a spare engine.
After some of the most lazy and unhurried travel I'd ever experienced, my heart was now beating in my throat, and Lao was leaving me with the lesson that you should never get too complacent about your surroundings, no matter how calm they appear on the surface. Laos, like the Mekong squeezed between Thailand and Vietnam, seems a secret country, content to go with the flow as an Asian backwater. But But it also has a secret past that deserves to be told, and some of the friendliest and most beautiful people I have ever met. I loved it.
I too loved Laos. The best thing about this country is the lack of noisy and overcrowded cities and the abundance of tranquil rural scenery. It is the perfect country to visit when you just need to relax.